Welcome, dreamer. Let's read a bedtime story. Journeys Through Bookland. It's this collection of old stories. And this book, where Charles H. Sylvester has collected them, is copyright 1909, and these stories are all much older than that. We've done it before on my channel, but let's read from the beginning of this book, talking about Aesop and Aesop's Fables. Many centuries ago, more than 600 years before Christ, there lived in Greece a man by the name of Aesop. We do not know very much about him, and no one can tell exactly what he wrote, or even that he ever wrote anything. We know he was a slave, and much wiser than his masters. But whether he was a fine, shapely man, or a hunchback and a cripple, we cannot be sure. For different people have written very differently about him. No matter what he was or how he lived, many, many stories are still told about him. And the greater part of the fables we all like to read are said to have been written or told by him. And everybody still calls them Aesop's Fables. Some of the stories told about him are curious indeed. Here are a few of them. In those days, men were sold as slaves in the market, as cattle are sold now. One day, Aesop and two other men were put up at auction. Xanthus, a wealthy man, wanted a slave, and he said to the men, "What can you do?" The two men bragged largely about things they could do, for both wanted a rich master like Xanthus. "But what can you do?" said Xanthus, turning to Aesop. "The others can do so much and so well," said Aesop, "that there is nothing left for me to do. Will you be honest and faithful if I buy you?" "I shall be that, whether you buy me or not." "Will you promise not to run away?" "Did you ever hear," answered Aesop, "of a bird in a cage that promised to stay in it?" Xanthus was so much pleased with the answers that he bought Aesop. Some time afterwards, Xanthus, wishing to give a dinner to some of his friends, ordered Aesop to furnish the finest feast that money could buy. The first course Aesop supplied was tongues cooked in many ways, and the second of tongues, and the third, and the fourth. Then Xanthus called sharply to Aesop, "Did I not tell you, sirrah, to provide the choicest dainties that money could procure?" "And what else excels the tongue?" replied Aesop. "It is the greatest channel of learning and philosophy. By this noble organ everything wise and good is accomplished." The company applauded Aesop's wit, and good humor was restored. "Well," said Xanthus to the guests, "pray do me a favor of dining with me again tomorrow. And if this is your best," continued he, turning to Aesop, "pray tomorrow let us have some of the worst meat you can find." And he thinks he's tricking him. Let's see. The next day, the dinner time came. The guests were assembled. Great was their astonishment, and great the anger of Xanthus at finding that again nothing but tongue was put on the table. "How, sir," said Xanthus, "should tongues be the best of meat one day, and the worst another?" "What," replied Aesop, "can be worse than the tongue? What wickedness is there under the sun that it has not a part in it? Treasons, violence, injustice, and fraud are debated and resolved upon by the tongue. It is the ruin of empires, of cities, and of private friendships." At another time, Xanthus very foolishly bet with a scholar that he could drink the sea dry. Alarmed, he consulted Aesop. "To perform your wager," said Aesop, "you know is possible, but I will show you how to evade it." To perform your wager, you know, is impossible, but I will show you a way to evade it. They accordingly met the scholar and went with him and a great number of people to the seashore, where Aesop had provided a table with several large glasses upon it, and men who stood around with ladies with which to fill the glasses. Xanthus, instructed by Aesop, gravely took his seat at the table. The beholders looked on with astonishment, thinking he must surely have lost his senses. "My argument," said he, turning to the scholar, "is to drink up the sea. I said nothing of the rivers and streams that are everywhere flowing into it. Stop up these, and I will proceed to fulfill my engagement." Here's a drawing of Aesop, or painting, or something, is written by, what does it say? I can't read it. By Velasquez. It's written by Velasquez. It's drawn by him. Look at that. Pretty cool. Look at that. Alright. Moving on. It is said that at one time when Xanthus started out on a long journey, he ordered his servants to get all his things together and put them up into bundles so that they could carry them. When everything had been neatly tied up, Aesop went to his master and begged for the lightest bundle, wishing to please his favorite slave. The master told Aesop to choose for himself the one he preferred to carry. Looking them all over, he picked up the basket of bread and started off with it on the journey. The other servants laughed at his foolishness, for that basket was the heaviest of all. When dinner time came, Aesop was very tired, for he had had a difficult time carrying his load for the last few hours. They had rested, however. They took bread from the basket, each taking an equal share. Half the bread was eaten at this one meal, and when supper time came, the rest of it disappeared. For the whole remainder of the journey, which ran far into the night, was over rough roads and up and down hills. Aesop had nothing to carry, while the loads of the other servants grew heavier and heavier with every step. The people of the neighborhood in which Aesop was a slave one day observed him attentively looking over some poultry in a pen that was near the roadside, and those idlers who spent more time in prying into other people's affairs than in adjusting their own, asked why he bestowed his attention on those animals. "I'm surprised," replied Aesop, "to see how mankind imitate this foolish animal." "In what?" asked the neighbors. "Why, in growing so well and scratching so poorly," rejoined Aesop. Fables, as you know, are short stories, usually about animals and things, which are made to talk like human beings. Right? Fables are so bright and interesting in themselves that both children and grown-ups like to read them. Children see first the story, and by, after they have thought more about it and have grown older, they can see how much wisdom there is in the fables. For example, there's the fable of the crab and the mother. They were strolling along the sand together when the mother said, "Child, you're not walking gracefully. You should walk straight forward without twisting from side to side." "Pray, mother," said the young one, "if you will set the example, I will follow it." Perhaps children will think the little crab was not very respectful, but older people can see that often parents do not set a very good examples for the children, and it is always easier to give good advice than it is to follow it. See, look at that. So with that, let's begin the first story in the book. That's kind of the introduction. Minerva and the Owl. "My most solemn and wise bird," said Minerva one day to her owl, I have hitherto admired you for your profound silence, but I have now a mind to have you show your ability in discourse, for silence is only admirable in one who can, when he pleases, triumph by his eloquence and charm with graceful conversation. The owl replied by solemn grimaces and made dumb signs. Minerva bade him lay aside that affection and begin, but he only shook his wise head and remained silent. Thereupon Minerva commanded him to speak immediately, on pain of her displeasure. The owl, seeing no remedy, drew up close to Minerva and whispered very softly in her ear this sage remark. Since the world is grown so depraved, they ought to be esteemed most wise who have eyes to see and wit to hold their tongues. The lesson in that is it's better to, what does someone say? It's better to sit in silence and let people think you're dumb than it is to speak and prove them all right. I don't know. Maybe that's similar. I don't know. The next one is the falcon and the partridge. You'll notice all these stories have something and something else. the falcon and the partridge. Once upon a time, a falcon stopped from its flight and seized a partridge, but the latter freed himself from the seizer, and, entering his nest, hid himself there. The falcon followed apace, and called out to him, saying, "O imbecile, I saw you hungry in the field, and took pity on you, so I picked up for you some grain, and took hold of you that you might eat, but you fled from me, and I know not the cause of your flight, except it were to put upon me a slight. Come out then, and take the grain I have brought you to eat, and much good may it do you with your health. Agree." And here's the falcon. Man, look at that bird. I wonder if I can... There's a shadow cast upon it because I have it blocked, but you can kind of see it. So he scooped him up and said, "What? No, I wasn't trying to hurt you. I was trying to pick you up and take you to the food. Come on out of there. Come on out of there. Let me give you a hug with my eagle talons." Moving on. When the partridge heard these words, he believed, and came out to the falcon, who thereupon struck his talons into him and seized him. Cried the partridge, "Is this that which you told me you had brought me from the field, and whereof you told me to eat, saying, much good may it do you, and with your health agree? Thou hast lied to me, and may God cause what you eat of my flesh to be a killing poison in your maw." When the falcon had eaten the partridge, his feathers fell off, his strength failed, and he died on the spot. Know that he who digs for his brother in a pit, himself soon falls into it. Don't be dishonest. That's what it's saying, maybe. The next one is the sparrow and the eagle. Well, the eagle's getting the falcon and the partridge, the sparrow and the eagle. All right. Once a sparrow, flitting over a flock of sheep, saw a great eagle swoop down upon a newly weaned lamb and carry it up with his claws and fly away. Whereupon the sparrow clapped his wings and said, "I will do even as this eagle did." So he waxed proud in his own conceit, and mimicking one greater than he, flew down forthright, and lighted upon the back of a fat ram with a thick fleece that was matted by his lying till. It was like a woolen felt. And as soon as the sparrow pounced on the sheep's back, he flapped his wings to fly away, but his feet became tangled in the wool, and however hard he tried, he could not set himself free. Woof. Here's the birds, and the shepherd dude, and the lamb. Not sure which bird is that in the sky. I wonder if that's the eagle. Probably, because you can see it. Look at them little rams. I feel like if I do it from back here, y'all can see it. Anyway. While all this was passing, the shepherd was looking on, having seen what happened, first with the eagle and afterwards with the sparrow. So in a great rage he came up to the wee birdie and seized him. He plucked out his wing feathers and carried him to his children. "What is this?" asked one of them. "This," he answered, "is he that aped a greater than himself and came to of grief. Apt? It's someone who imitated someone greater than himself, and with conceit, and now he's all jacked up. So here, I guess, eat the sparrow. I don't know what they did with him. They don't explain. It can't be good. Moving on. Oh man, here's one. We get a little bit darker. This one's called The Old Man and Death. I guess they ran out of animals and they have to do just a human and a concept. It's fine. A poor and toil-worn peasant, bent with years and groaning beneath the weight of a heavy faggot of fir wood which he carried. It's a bundle of sticks. Sought weary and sore-footed on a long and dusty road to gain his distant cottage, unable to bear the weight of his burden any longer, the burden of sticks. Don't think anything funny. He let it fall by the roadside and lamented his hard fate. What a pleasure I have known since I first drew breath in this sad world. From dawn to dusk it has been hard work and little pay. At home is an empty cupboard, a discontented wife, and a lazy and disobedient children. O death, come and free me from my troubles. Bro is so dramatic. And at once the ghostly king of terrors stood before him. "What do you want with me?" Death queried in hollow tones. Nothing, stammered the awed and frightened peasant. Nothing except for you to help me put again upon my shoulders this bundle of sticks that I have let fall. I don't know why Death has like a New York accent. Like, hey, what are you doing? What do you want with me? What's the matter? What's going on? What are you doing? Who are you? Well, oh, nothing. I'm kidding. So, man, it's sort of like he decided last second, actually, I think I'll stay. Man, because no matter how weary and disobedient and discontented your family and everything is, still worth living, you know. With hardship comes ease. You can't have happiness without grief, you know. There's another one called Infant Joy. This one's a poem, so it's not comparing two creatures, I guess. Here's the picture. I'll look at the picture first. Here's the picture. It's a dude looking into a baby cradle with other babies hanging out, I guess. Or no, those must be little cherubs, little angels or something. I don't know, what is that? I don't know. Infant Joy by William Blank. What does this say? Joy. Oh, the name of the picture is Joy Befall Thee. Infant Joy by William Blake. I have no name. I am but 2 days old. What shall I call thee? I happy am. Joy is my name. Sweet joy befall thee. Pretty joy, sweet joy, but 2 days old. Sweet joy I call thee. Thou dost smile. I sing the while. Sweet joy befall thee. Dude, there's more baby stories. This one is, look at that dude, it's an angel and a baby. And look over here too. On this side, there's a baby reading a book. Unrealistic. Babies don't read books. Out of the everywhere is what this is called. Oh, I'm realizing this is an angel lady holding a baby, and then there's like the earth. So it's an alien. Guys, this is... Anyway, moving on. The Baby by George MacDonald. Where did you come from, baby dear? Out of the everywhere into the here. Where did you get your eyes so blue? Out of the sky as I came through. What makes the light in them sparkle and spin? Some of the starry spikes left in. Where did you get that little tear? I found it, waiting when I got here. What makes your forehead so smooth and high? A soft hand stroked it as I went by. Well, what makes your cheek like a warm white rose? Something better than anyone knows. Whence that three-cornered smile of bliss? 3 angels gave me at once a kiss. Where did you get that pearly ear? God spoke. I'm trying it. Where did you get that pearly ear? God spoke, and it came out to hear. Where did you get those arms and hands? Love made itself into hooks and bands. Feet, whence did you come, you darling things? From the same box as the cherub's wings. How did they all come to be you? God thought about me, and so I grew. But how did you come to us, you dear? God thought of you, and so I am here. Oh my goodness. Little precious baby child and extraterrestrial. Guys, it said, what makes your forehead so smooth and high? Like, that's a specific kind of alien. They write about that in like the 60s. I don't know. There's another one. It's called The Discontented Stonecutter. The Discontented Stonecutter, adapted from the Japanese original text. So it's the translation of they're doing their best. Once upon a time, there was a man who worked from early morning till late at night, cutting building stones out of the solid rock. His pay was small and hardly enough to keep his wife and children from starving. So the poor stonecutter grew discontented and sighed and moaned bitterly over his hard lot. One day his work seemed harder than usual, and his troubles more than he could bear, and he cried out in despair, "Oh, I wish I could be rich and lie at ease on a soft couch with a curtain of red silk." Just then a beautiful fairy floated down from heaven and softly said, "Thy wish is granted thee." So the poor stonecutter found himself rich and powerful and resting easily on his silken couch with his red curtain. As he gazed out, however, he saw the king of the country ride by with many horsemen before and behind him, and with a great golden sunshade held over his head. It irritated the rich man to have no parasol over his head, and to see another more powerful than himself, and in his discontentment he exclaimed, "Would that I were a king such as that one." And once again his good fairy approached, waved his wand, and said, "It shall be as thou desirest." Immediately the man was a king, and before him and behind him rode his men at arms, and over his head was a golden sunshade, but everywhere the sun shone fiercely down, and dried up the vegetation with its terrible heat. It was reflected into the face of the king, so that even the golden sunshade did not keep him from suffering. And once more he sighed discontently. "If I could only be the sun." Our man is discontented, it seems, with being rich. Red curtains and a couch, and he got him a parasol. I didn't want that. And here is your here's a picture of whatever's happening there. I guess that's the stone cutting. Oh yeah, that's him looking out at the people out there, being all grass is greener type of deal. Oh, if I could only be the sun. Almost before he spoke, he found himself to be the sun, and he began joyously to send his fiery rays above, below, and everywhere round about him. He scorched the grass of the earth, and burned the faces of its rulers, and felt his power unlimited, until a little cloud placed itself between him and the earth, and threw back his scorching rays. It still angered him to find something more powerful than himself, and he wished aloud that he might be a cloud. Once again his wish was granted, and he found himself floating where he wished through the sky. He ran between the sun and the earth, and sheltered the latter so that the grass grew green, and the trees leaved out again, and everything rejoiced in the new growth. Then he sent great floods of rain upon the earth, filled the rivers until they overflowed, swept homes and herds into the sea, and destroyed the works of man in every direction. But try as he would, he could not move one great rock that stood right across his way. Though he sent waters that roared around its base and pushed hard against it, yet it remained immovable. Such a failure angered the man-cloud, and again he cried out, "Would that I were a rock, so strong and immovable is it." This time also his guardian angel interfered, and he found himself a rock that withstood the sun, the wind, and the waters. But then one day there came along a rude stone cutter, who with chisel and hammer began to cut the great rock into small, regular building stones. "What does this mean?" cried the rock. Has this man power to cut me in pieces? Surely I am weaker than he. Would I were a stone cutter. As thou wishest, so shall it be. And his guardian angel said to him, and immediately he was again a stone cutter, working hard as before, and for small wages, but happy and content with his lot. Man, how about that? So what we just witnessed was like a story version of rock, paper, scissors. It's more like rock, cloud, water, sun, king, scissors. I don't know. Man, really like this. There's another story here. Wilhelm and Jacob Grimm, the Grimm brothers. This one is called Discreet Hans, and the story goes for a little while. You know what? Let's save this one for next time. Will that be okay? You're probably asleep anyway. So we'll put this on the side. We'll dim the lights. And we'll go to bed. Thanks for letting me read you a bedtime story. Sleep well, dreamer.